Hey viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking HVAC. The HVAC system's installed, the house has air conditioning, and it was just in time for fall. So that's always how it goes, but it is certainly nice, and it does make a difference. I want to talk about the air conditioning equipment now that it's all here, kind of show you what we chose, why we chose it, etc. First thing is the entire house is running off of one system. So for reference, and this is a testament to how cool spray foam is, house is about 3,600 square foot and it is running off of 1 5-ton. That's it. Multi-zones, 1 5-ton. So there's the outdoor, I guess it really, I would almost say compressor. It's a heat pump. So that is a 5-ton heat pump. American Standard. This is their platinum variable speed. Basically, this is the top of the line that they offer. For those that don't know, American Standard is made by Train. So it's pretty much a Train equipment. And it is awesome. So I kind of want to show you the equipment and take you through. So there's the heat pump. The heat pump will be the primary heating and cooling of the system. So heating is electric, but these things are super efficient. Absolutely super efficient. So unless it gets really cold, this guy is doing the heating and then it's definitely doing the cooling. And we'll talk about what happens when it gets cold later in the video. And so what I gave my HVAC guys as I gave them this stub, I gave them these whips and this electrical stub out. So that 1/2-inch flex line there coming out of the brick, that is the control wires that I ran earlier. I just gave them a 1/2-inch flexible conduit, right, that liquid tight. And then for the high voltage lines or 220 lines, right, I mounted the disconnect and I gave them another whip. This particular heat pump, the biggest and baddest, it runs, I think, 37 amps at load with 50 amps of overcurrent protection. So looking at your tables, 75 degree C column, THHN, that translated to number 8 conductors with a number 10 ground. So that's what I ran. 2 hots in the ground. That's it, no neutral. And ran them to that disconnect. And then that is actually going to this outside panel. So this outside panel, all right, let's see if I can open this. Hang on. So the outside panel, right, that's one of the circuits feeding it, right? That 50 amp right there. And she is energized and going. So we'll go electrical details later. But so that's how that's fed. So the next component I'll show you of the system is the thermostat. So the thermostat that comes with this is all your bells and whistles, right? So it's a touchscreen, it's Wi-Fi, it's smart. It actually has an Ethernet port, which I loved. That was a nice surprise. So this Wi-Fi is turned off and it's gonna do all of its data through Ethernet, because why wouldn't you? The other thing this thing is it actually is a Z-Wave hub. I'm not gonna use that. I don't want my HVAC company to provide home automation. I think that's kind of weird as a hub, but they do offer it and it's in there. So this thing's nice. One thing I liked about this is you can customize these little widgets on the main panel. And so for me, what I chose, you show me my indoor humidity, you can show me the system status and the compressor speed. So most traditional HVAC systems, when you turn on that compressor, it's on or off, 100% or 0. These newfangled ones, they are variable speed, which means it's less wear and tear on your equipment, and it's overall more efficient if they can run the compressor at lower speed, right? If you only need to cool your house a little bit, rather than having the thing ramp up, turn on, go full tilt, and then back off, it can just cruise at 20% or 30% or whatever, and it's way more power efficient. So that is really nice. So that's thermostat. And then the last piece, and I gotta go up to the attic for this, is the furnace. I say furnace. It is the air handler / emergency heater. So originally we were gonna do propane backup heat. And so when I wired the house, I wired it for such, which is just a 15 amp, 120 volt circuit for the blower. Well, that changed. I can't remember if I did a video on this, but we couldn't get the propane backup heater because of supply shortages, because COVID, yay. So we had to go with an electric backup, which meant me running extra wires, and I did the video on that showing you all the extra stuff I had to run, right? Okay, it's dark, and I have to climb this ladder. So, see if I can do this one-handed, which is always fun. All right, I'll get you some light in a second. Hang on, YouTube. So we had to opt for the electrical backup heat, which required extra power and everything like that. So, all right, we're up. Boom. Okay, walk with me. So there is the air handler. Right there. Okay. Make sure I don't fall through the floor. So first off, you can see the finished electrical panel right here, right? And we've got our 3 circuits. We've got the 60 amp, which is feeding the blower motor and the first set of heat strips, and the 50 amp feeding the second set of heat strips. Those heat strips will only be on if the heat pump can't keep up. And it's going to have to be, into the teens of temperature Fahrenheit before we can do that. So by and large, this won't get used. But when we need it, we'll be glad we have it. And then we also have just another 20 amp circuit down to that outlet. That is for convenience, because you need to have a convenience outlet for the air handler per code for any technicians that come to work on it, as well as I need a 120 volt supply for the ERV system for ventilation for the system. So that's what you need for that. So here is the air handler. Now, ideally, this guy would have been mounted vertically, and that's why I'd hoped they would have done, but they didn't. So they had to mount it on its side, which is perfectly fine. And so you can see here is the electrical connection I had to do. So just 3/4 inch conduit running a pair of number 8s, a pair of number 6s, and one 10 gauge ground to power those 2 circuits. If you're running multiple circuits in one conduit, right, you do not have to run more than one equipment grounding conductor. They can share. It doesn't matter. So as long as it's basically size it for the largest circuit. So in my case, either way, it's number 10, so that's what I ran. And in case of here, just so you're not caught off guard if you do the same thing, I had to drill that hole into that case. There are predefined little dimples around this that they have provision to run conduit into, depending upon your installation. So this is where I needed to do it. So if you're doing this kind of thing, be prepared that you've got your nice, shiny new air handler and you have to punch a hole in it. So that can be a little nerve-wracking, but well, buy some nice hole saws and good luck. And you can see there they have integrated circuit breakers for the heat strips, which is kind of nice. For the condensate flow and trap and overflow, they ran it like this, a little P-trap, and they actually tapped into just the drain line for the bathroom. You see there, and notice there is a bell with an air gap that is required. You cannot have this directly connected. There has to be an air gap for these types of systems, so things don't back up and get kind of funky. We also popped for an upgraded kind of filter. So instead of having the filters, throughout the return vents in the house, we have a single filter up here that filters better, lasts longer, etc., etc. At least so they tell me. We shall see. So, and you can see everything spidering off to the rest of the house. What still hasn't been done on this system is they need to come back, one, to put the grills in after paint, but also they need to set up all the zoning. So I think they were waiting on some of the little automated damper valves and whatnot. I think those have been hard to get. So we're still waiting on that. And you can see we've got all the different little control wires for each of the zones that I've got. And so those are ready to be hooked up as soon as they have all the parts. One other thing to note, here is the original circuit I ran, this 15 amp, right, for the old furnace. So what I did was I just stripped it all out, wire capped those connections and put it in a junction box. Since I already had the box there, I just put a cover on it, and it's just dead wire. I capped it in the panel as well, and so I've got it if I ever need it, but I don't see why I would ever need it again. But why rip it out? That's more pain than it's worth. So that's about it. That is the HVAC system, and I can tell you it works very well. It can cool the house down to 70 degrees pretty easily, even with, holes in the doors, for doorknobs and all that kind of stuff. So once the house is properly sealed up, we should be good to go. So I think that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.